ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ನನ್ನ ಅನಿಸಿಕೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ in the last 3.5 months, when I was taking classes, I've seen the participation from rural areas. People on the rooftops, people near in the farms, people under the tree and on the tree. ಅಂಡರ್ ದ ಟ್ರೀ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಗುರುಕುಲ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಏನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು, ಆ ಗುರುಕುಲ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ನೆನಪಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಈಗ ಮರದ ಮೇಲೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ಟು ಕನೆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಬರ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಇಂಟರ್ನೆಟ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಎತ್ತರಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ದೆನ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಸಿಕ್ಕುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಮರದ ಮೇಲೆ ಕುಳಿತುಕೊಂಡು ಪಾಠ ಕೇಳೋರು ಇದಾರೆ ಈಗ. ಸೊ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಈಸ್ ಸೋ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ ಅವರ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಇವನ್ ವಾಸ್ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ goal is for education to all, education for all. And with education, the world will move towards a different dimension, and it is sustainable. Another the world should become sustainable. Another we must have education. And you know that the central government on July 29, it is already, envisaged or enacted a new education policy called National Education Policy. ಈ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಬಹಳ ಸಂಕ್ಷಿಪ್ತವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿನ 10+2 ಇತ್ತು ಮೊದಲು. ಆ 10+2 ನಾವು ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ 5+3+3+4. ಅಂದ್ರೆ 5 ವರ್ಷ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಇಂದ ಶುರು ಆಗೋ ಬದಲು ಈಗ 3ನೇ ವರ್ಷದಿಂದನೇ ಶುರು ಆಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯು ಆರ್ ಪ್ರೀ ನರ್ಸರಿ, UKG, LKG ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಬೆಳವಣಿಗೆಗೆ ಅದು ಬಹಳ ಮೊಳಕೆಯಿಂದನೇ, ದಟ್ ವೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಬಡಿಂಗ್ ಯು ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿ ಏಬಲ್ ಟು ಗಿವ್ ಗುಡ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನ ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. Anganwadis, most of you know that Anganwadis plays a very critical role and crucial role in the development of the child education. Early child education and care is one of the most prominent and paramount importance that has been given in national education policy. You know, elementary education, that is middle class, high school, and the PUC has been integrated into elementary education. The primary 10th standard, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th has been integrated into the elementary education. Illi skill based education kodbekanta that is the ಒತ್ತು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಅಲಾಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ವೋಕಲ್ and as well as skill based education, these are most important cornerstones of national education policy. ನಾವು ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ 12th ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ we have a 4 years program now instead of 3 years program, 4 years. ಅಂದ್ರೆ 1 ವರ್ಷ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ if you try to enroll for first year of higher education, you will get a certificate course. If you register for 2-year course, it will be a diploma. If you register for 3-year course, it will be a degree. If you register for a 4-year course, you will get multidisciplinary degree. Andre you can join at any time, you can leave at any time. That is the beauty of this course, so that people as and when they like, they can join. As and when it is convenient, they can join, and they can leave when it is not affordable, or when they have some other work to do, or when they have to earn bread and butter for their family. ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಸಂಶೋಧನೆ ಇದೆ. ಅದು 3 years ಇರ್ಬೋದು, 4 years ಇರ್ಬೋದು, 5 years ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಆ ಸಂಶೋಧನೆಗೆ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಫಂಡ್ ಅಂತ ಎಸ್ಟಾಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. We are also asking the leading 100 universities in this world to establish centers, educational centers in this country. We are also asking NIT and IIT to go and establish educational center elsewhere in the world. Isthe alla namage we have to see that digitization is a part and parcel of education. That's why teaching should be 1/3 online in future, 1/3 regular classes, and 1/3 experiential learning. Whether you might be calling this digital education as a digital divide, or a digital intoxication, or digital evolution or revolution, or digital information or transformation, or digital trauma, this is all going to be digitized. And you know that we have today been able to conduct these conferences, seminars, classes, online classes, and even online examination through digital transformation in this country. Education is the cornerstone, and we should have, you should have total holistic education. In holistic education, you must have yoga for good body, and you must have the meditation for good mind, mental stability, you must have emotional stability, you must have social responsibility, and you must have spiritual inclination. And that is what NEP is trying to do in their what you can call as a Magna Carta, and where you call as a Bhagavad Gita. And this modern Bhagavad Gita is essential for everybody, because Bhagavad Gita yen helutte, it gives us education, it gives us ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ, it gives holistic thought. ಇದು ಭಗವದ್ಗೀತಾನೇ ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಮಾಡರ್ನ್ ಅವತಾರನಲ್ಲಿ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಒತ್ತು ನಾವು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಈ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಸರಿ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. Education, we were one of the most fundamental and foremost in starting universities in this world. Nalanda and Takshashila were the first universities which are started in this country, and we were at the pinnacle of the glory of this country, was at its pinnacle when education was the best in this country. ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಅಂತ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಗೋಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಯುಎನ್ಎ. ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ದ ಪುವರ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ. ಬಟ್ ನಾವು ಹೇಳೋಕೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ that India was in the foremost in the first 6th century. 34% of the GDP was in this country, and China was the distant second. It is only in the 17th and 18th century the Western world, UK and USA, took over China and India, and now our GDP is only 2%, a meager 2%. And ನಮ್ಮ 16th century ನಲ್ಲಿ ಹಡಗುಗಳ ಸೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಆಗ we had 42,000 ships of 1 million tons. Nowhere in the world they had such big ships, and India was the foremost in the economic trade as well as GDP. And ಈಗ ನಾವು ಯಾಕೆ ಕುಸಿದಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, we have lost our educational system, we have forgotten our educational system, and therefore our economic growth has also come down. We have to measure up to that level. We have to increase our educational standard. The third part is that we have 1.3 billion people. 1.3 billion is not a small thing. 1.3 billion ಗೆ ಊಟದ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ, then you can imagine the amount of agriculture. ಈ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಟೈಮ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ we have produced 295 million tons, and that food is sufficient for 3 years from now. Even if there is a famine in next 3 years, we'll have enough food for 3 years. That is the capacity of this country. This country has enough natural resources, and it is so much natural resources ಅಷ್ಟು ಇದೆ that it has been able to support mangoes for 1.3 billion people. ಮ್ಯಾಂಗೋ ಕೊರತೆ. ಈಗ ಟೊಮೆಟೋಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಗ್ರೋ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ. ಆ ತರ ನೀವು ಒಂದೊಂದು ಫುಡ್ ಪದಾರ್ಥ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 1964 ನಲ್ಲಿ we were importing wheat from USA. Now we are exporting food grains to other countries. We are giving, exporting food grains to those countries which are facing hunger, like Syria, Mongolia. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ we are able to supply food to even African countries. We have become self-sufficient. That is the growth of this country. And science and technology nalli we were the foremost in the world. Then we had Brahmastra, we had Pushpaka Vimana, and we had even ಯುದ್ಧಗಳಿಗೆ ತಯಾರಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಈ ಮಿಸೈಲ್ಸ್ ಈಗ ಏನು ತಯಾರಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಆ ತಯಾರಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಮಹಾಭಾರತ ಯುದ್ಧದಲ್ಲಿ, ರಾಮಾಯಣ ಯುದ್ಧದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಯೋಗ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ. ಪ್ರಯೋಗ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೂ we had imagination, and that's what we are saying. We are much advanced in science and technology. It is this country which gave mathematics and a decimal system to this country, to this world. Without decimal system, there could have been no education in this world. Einstein was asked, what is your secret of success? So Einstein ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, I bow to this country called India, because without decimal system I could have not developed the E is equal to mc squared, which is a very vast number. Somebody asked the premier in China premierಗೆ ಅವರು ಇನ್ನು ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಕೊನೆ ದಿವಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ರು, so what is your wish ಅಂದ್ರೆ, he said, if you do good work in this world, ಈ ಜನ್ಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ you will be born in one great country called India, ಅದು ಪುಣ್ಯ ಭೂಮಿ. ಸೊ ಅಂತ ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿ ಆ ಚೈನೀಸ್ ಪ್ರೀಮಿಯರ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. Then health is very important for our country. So you can imagine every country, even Bill Gates is telling that India has a major role to produce vaccine to this entire world. We produce 70% of the vaccine, and that is the capacity of this country. If so many flus came, bird flu came, H1N1 came, and now COVID has come, and even our death rate is very low, and that is because of our robust system that we have survived. If we are robust, this civilization is robust, this civilization is intelligent. If we are not robust, then we would not have a population of 1.3 billion in such a small landlocked, waterlogged country, and supported by Himalayan mountains. See, because there's three sides water and one side Himalayas has bounded this country culturally and also geographically. The digitization has brought the convergence of geography, culture, data, information, and everything else in this country we have brought ಒಂಥರ coherent ಆಗಿ ಬರಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯವಾಗಿದ್ದು because of our geographical location. Now, water and sanitation, water and sanitation was one of the most important. The greatest person who, designed sanitation system in this country is Sir M. Vishweshwaraya. He was given Bharat Ratna for designing sanitation and water system in this country in 17 cities. That is the greatest engineer. Greatest engineer college nalli nanu 15 varsha ಪ್ರಾಂಶುಪಾಲರಾಗಿದ್ದೆ, and now you will see Vishweshwaraya College of Engineering is going to become an IIT. Industrialization ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. Industrialization is ನೀವು ಏನು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾಗ we supply 40% of the labor in next 10 years. We have capacity to supply labor. So economic growth, industrial growth ಯಾವ ತರ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ in next 20 years ನಾವು ಮುಂಚೂಣಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. That's why when I said education, you must act locally, you must think nationally, and you must compete globally ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ. That is the policy of our national education, and that NEP is going to change India the fortune of becoming again first in the world. We were first in the world 2000 years back. We are going to become again we'll be in the forefront in the world again 20 years from now when this new education policy is going to be implemented. Now, energy ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ, energy is the most important source of natural resources. India being a tropical country, we are having solar energy. No other country can compete with the solar energy. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಯಾವ ತರ ಇದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸಸ್ ಇನ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಯಾವ ತರ ಇದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ we will be able to supply this energy to the entire world. The entire world through grid, through microwave. You know that energy is being transformed through wireless. ಈಗ ನೀವು ಚೈನಾ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಅವ್ರು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದಾರೆ, you can supply through direct transmission energy, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ವೈರೇ ಇರಲ್ಲ, but that will have interference with the birds and also with the human health in the system ಅಂತ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದಾರೆ. But I am very sure that wireless transmission of energy will take place. ಈಗ ಹೆಂಗೆ ನಾವು ಟೆಲಿಫೋನ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಷನ್ ವೈರ್ಲೆಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ, ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಎನರ್ಜಿ is also going to become wireless transmission. And India has a great capacity to export solar energy to other countries. This is the future of this world. I am not going to go on telling you so many things, all the 18 but I am very happy that I am sharing this dais with Shankar Lingegowda ji, and I am also very happy that I am talking to Kempegowda Institute of Management Studies, which started in 1993, and it has already made a mark in educational system. Whether it is water cycle, whether it is pollution, whether it is climate cycle, whether it is energy cycle, whether it is food cycle, whether it is sanitation, we are doing very well. But that is not sufficient because the population is huge. In order to meet the demand of this growing population, we have to do much more. And education is the foremost thing. You have taken a right path in having this 2-day seminar. I congratulate both Mahesh and Satish Gowda, who have been instrumental in asking me to come and deliver this address. And I thank Shankar Lingegowda sir for being with us. I am very enlightened to share the dais virtual platform along with him. And thank you very much. My 20 minutes time is over. And if I talk, you will not be interested. And I'll talk to you on some other day when I have been giving a keynote address. Thank you, Manasa, for introducing me. And thank you all the students that you should be able to take education as an integrated part of the system. And I can end with one good note. Think of Swami Vivekananda. That is, arise, awake, and rest not until you reach the goal. Second, take a single idea, and that idea might be in your brain, nerves, body. Think about that. Forget about all other ideas. You will achieve success. And third, the third most important, quote of Swami Vivekananda is: be good, do good, and see good. And I will always like to tell the students my Saptapadis. 1, yoga for your body. 2, meditation for your mind. 3, walk for your heart. 4, pranayama for your lungs. 5, good food and simple food for your stomach and intestine. 6, sleep for 8 hours a day. And 7, have good thought. That will help. And another 5 points which I would like to tell: no tobacco, no coffee, no tea, no drugs, no alcohol. ಈ 5 ನೀವು ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ರೆ you will achieve whatever you want. You will, whatever dream you have, whatever desire you have, you will do. Like Buddha said, desire is the root cause of sorrow. So reduce your desires. Let it be minimum. Be simple. Have good thought. Like William Churchill, you make a living by what you give. While you make a living by what you earn. You make a life by what you give. I want, dear students, all of you to give to this world. Become strong. And education is the single most component that will make you strong first. Today I am strong. Today I am able to help others. Today I am able to serve others. Today I am able to, dedicate and commitment because of my strength in education and my reverence to my great guide, K. Venkatagiri Gowdaji. Because of him, today I am able to serve you, and today I am able to talk to you because of my strength given by Professor K. Venkatagiri Gowda. Thank you, one and all, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak to you. Thank you, Shankar Lingaya Gowdaji.
Thank you, sir. I would like to thank our Chief Guest, Vice Chancellor, for gracing today's virtual e-conference during the inaugural address. Thank you for your very interesting and thought-provoking address, sir. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce Dr. Satish Gowda, Assistant Professor of Law, PG Department of Studies and Research in Law, and University Law College, Bangalore University. His academic qualifications are BAL, in which he has secured 5th rank, 3rd rank in LLB, and also he has completed his LLM, PhD, and clear NET exam. He has 20 years of teaching experience and has published more than 20 research articles and participated and presented in various research papers at the international, national, state level seminars, conferences, and workshops, and has attended national seminars as resource person. Served as NSS camp officer at the NSS Special Annual Camp. He is a member of various university authorities. We are pleased to welcome you to render the keynote address, sir.
Thank you, madam. Good morning to one and all. I think I am audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Respected Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. K.R. Venugopal, sir. Respected administrative officers of Okkaliga Sangha, and also retired IAS officer Shri A.K. Shankar Lingaya Gowda, sir. And principal of this esteemed institution, Kempegowda Institute of Management Studies and Research, Dr. Mahesh, sir. And coordinator, Mr. Venkatesh, and all the faculty members, and all the participants, and dear students. Indeed, it gives me an immense pleasure to participate in this very meaningful 2 days multidisciplinary national e-conference on sustainable development in recent India scenario, issues and challenges. In fact, I have been asked to speak and deliver the keynote address. I'm very happy to speak about the concept of sustainable development, especially international and national perspective concern. Of course, it's a wonderful event. I congratulate entire team of Kempegowda Institute of Management and Research for selecting a very meaningful topic for the day. When it comes to the concept of sustainable development, the Sustainable Development Goal agenda was accepted by all the members of United Nations in 2012 at the Rio de Janeiro Council meet, with the aim to promote healthy and developed future of the planet and its people. As Honorable Vice Chancellor pointed out in his inaugural speech, Sir has mentioned about education, health, and other important basic related issues. We always speak about sustainable development in environmental perspectives, economic goal perspectives, and other related perspectives. Social development goal, economic development goal, environment development goal. There are so many issues are there. In fact, in 2000, UNO came with Millennium Development Goal, MDM. Now it is SDM, Sustainable Development Goal. More we speak wherein environment law issues. As you all know, in 1972, when there was a conference, international conference on environment held in Stockholm, there was a declaration, especially Agenda 21, which speaks about sustainable development, where they have given more emphasis on development as well as environment. Environment and development has to go hand in hand. Of course, keeping that in mind, there are so many international conventions were taken place in international level. Member countries have been trying their level best to implement all these policies and goals and whatever objectives they have in their respective international conventions. Among them, this is a very comprehensive goal which has been prepared by United Nations. It may be with respect to poverty, it may be with respect to health, it may be with respect to education, it may be with respect to food, it may be with respect to environment, then water, cleanliness, and governance. That is a very important issue. Governance matters. As being a student of constitution law, whatever goals which have been prepared and laid down in this sustainable development goal, that has been reflected already in our constitutional text. They are there in the preamble, they are there in the fundamental right, they are there in the directive principle of state policy. The one thing is, of course, we have beautiful goals, beautiful rights, beautiful duties, everything we have internationally and nationally. But the thing is implementation. When it comes to the matter of implementation, India, we have so many series of rules, regulation, bylaws, notification. Being a student of law, I always say India is the best country in manufacturing series of legislation. But when it comes to the matter of implementation, we have to introspect. In all the cases, we cannot blame government alone. There is a responsibility with the citizens. They should come forward to know all these things, and they should participate effectively and efficiently to know their important rights and make and pressurize the government to implement all these important schemes. But unfortunately, people are not participating in the democratic setting. First of all, they don't know the information. Forget about the UNO goals. Even they do not know the basic important, the fundamental rights guaranteed under Part 3 of the Constitution. Of course, there are series we have series of international conventions, Stockholm Declaration, Rio Declaration, Johannesburg Declaration. There are many with respect to biodiversity, environment protection, pollution. See, after 1972, when India was also a party to this convention, then in 1976, in the 42nd Amendment, we added so many things to the Constitution. In fact, our framers didn't incorporate any aspects relating to environment in the Constitution. But after 1976, after attending this Stockholm Declaration Conference, which was held in Stockholm, Sweden, in the European country, then they brought an amendment to Indian Constitution where they incorporated Article 48A of the Constitution, according to which it is the duty of state to take measure to protect, preserve wildlife, forest, and environment. Later part, they enacted series of legislation like Wildlife Protection Act 1972,
Water Act 1976, Air Act 1981, then Environment Protection Act 1986, then Biodiversity Act. There are series of legislation. I tell you, what UNO cannot do, what our Supreme Court, in fact, Supreme Court in series of cases, especially in MC Mehta, and I have seen one of the agenda, one of the theme in your conference, that you have mentioned the role of NGO. In the NGO has played a significant role to protect, promote, preserve all important basic fundamental rights guaranteed to citizens under Part 3 of the Constitution, especially environment. Because of NGOs' participation, Supreme Court of India laid down so many guidelines like sustainable development in the case of MC Mehta versus Union of India, then polluter pay principle, precautionary principles, public trust doctrine. There are a series of doctrines laid down by Supreme Court. At the same time, parliamentarians also enacted series of legislation. At the same time, in international perspective, there have been series of international conventions, covenant, protocol have been formulated. But unfortunately, these things could not come into force when it comes to the matter of implementation. What could not be done by these Supreme Court judgments and international convention and environment legislation, including pollution control board in center and state, Corona did it. It is Corona goals, because when you come to the environmental issues concern, now there is no indiscriminate mining activities after Corona when during this pandemic, and there is no pollution, there is no plastic usage, especially in marriage function and other related ceremonies. People used to use maximum plastics. Then come to the point traffic, then air pollution, then rivers are flowing without pollution, and directly the industries and factories have been discharging effluents directly to the river. Now there is no case at all. What these Supreme Court judgments, pollution control board, what these international convention could not do for better protection of environment, it was done by Corona. I really appreciate, because sometimes even we have to see the positive things in the tragedy when it happens. So keeping that in mind, ultimately my appeal to each and everyone in the country during this, especially through this seminar, people should participate in the democratic setup. Of course, there are so many issues like health, education, water, poverty, food, decent work, technology, inequality, gender equality, hunger, and justice, governance, clean energy, social exclusion. There are so many good concepts are there. But thing is, implementation matters. When it comes to the matter of implementation, finance plays a significant role. Without finance, even when I've been discussing with the law students, I say, whenever they enact law, simply they cannot enact law unless they allocate some budget to implement a particular legislation. For example, when it comes to all these goals, India is the best country where they have taken maximum care to implement all these things, especially with respect to Food Security Act 2013, then with respect to NREGA, then with respect to Swachhata Abhiyana. There are so many initiations have been taken by the government of India with the help of state governments. But the thing is, implementation again. One part implementation, another part information. People do not know. People are not participating in the democratic setup. Why? The reason is they don't have information. Of course, I'm very happy through this workshop that too organized by Kempe Gowda Institute of Management Studies Center, said they have been doing wonderful job. Through this workshop and conferences, you have been taking effort to inculcate and disseminate all this information to the general public. Once if the information obtained by the participants, maybe teachers or students, if they are going to disseminate this information to the general public, I think some extent people can participate in the process. Today, why people are not participating in the good governance? Because lack of information. In my opinion, Right to Information Act 2005 is the second constitution in the country. Now, action, reaction, interaction, overaction, non-action of the government can be questioned through right to information. But the thing is, if you want to participate in the democratic setup, you have to have an information. The quality of participation by the public depends upon quality of awareness. What you are doing, what you are giving awareness through this workshop. Then quality of awareness depends upon quality of information. The quality of information depends upon quality of education. Very unfortunate to say, in the country, education has become commercial oriented commodity. It has become like WTO, World Trade Centers. So state has to concentrate on this issue. Of course, when I was going through all these 17 goals prepared by UNO in the Sustainable Development Concept, I just remember Article 21 of the Indian Constitution, where Article 21 speaks about quality of right to life, where Supreme Court, in series of judgment, they evolved so many important unenumerated fundamental rights. Maybe right to life include right to information, right to education, right to food, right to health, right to live with a dignity. Today, because of poverty, people are not living in a dignity. Forget about dignity. Even many are, even they don't have meal to take a single day. That is another issue when it comes to the governance concern. Of course, Food Security Act, some extent. Of course, there is a case, PUCL versus Union of India, one of public people union civil liberty, the voluntary NGO, they filed a series of IAS before Supreme Court of India. Because of their participation in democratic setup, Supreme Court has directed to central government and union government and all state government to implement many schemes like midday meal scheme and Anna Bhagya Yojana, Anta Bhagya Yojana and all. Another task is, of course, because of role of NGO, somehow people who are in below poverty line, they are trying their level best to get the justice. But NGO alone cannot fight in all circumstances. People should come forward. They should be educated. They should be provided information. That's why wherever I go, let state make politics on any issues, but not in 4 important subject matter. They are, in my opinion, first is food, second is health, third one is education, fourth one is environment. They are like a 4 wheels of a chariot, like especially we have discussed so many 17 important goals in the UNO Sustainable Development Concept, but among them all, 4, these are the fundamentally fundamental. Unless people take measure to implement all the, unless a state takes measure to implement all these things, I think the very object is going to be defeated. And when it comes to the role of Indian judiciary and role of NGO, similarly, I keep on telling about activism. The best example in the democratic setup, judiciary duty is to interpret. But in so many cases, Supreme Court, being a protector of fundamental right, being a guardian of fundamental right, they come forward through their judicial activism. They have done a lot. But my view on this, why always judiciary has to show their activism? Why can't bureaucratic activism? I think Shankarlinga Gowda sir, when he was an IAS officer, he has done a commendable job. I heard we need bureaucrats who is having real concern about the people. Of course, we should not. Santosh, our honorable judge, the Supreme Court judge, retired judge Santosh Hegde sir was telling, we should not work for the salary. We should work for the service. See, God has given everyone some good job in the sense we have to work for the nation. In such a way, IAS officers, if they really come forward, of course, they have been doing wonderful job. But some extent, they should come forward to help weaker section of the society. We cannot implement law as it is in all the cases. Ultimately, we have to implement humanity, humanitarian principles. In that concern, role of NGOs activism, non-governmental organization, role of bureaucracy, role of media. Media matters. Of course, see, Deppe Gowda Institute of Management conducting workshop on some important issue. Who has to inculcate all these things? Who has to publicize this information to the general public? Ultimately, print media and visual media. Very unfortunate to say, I have a great respect towards print media rather than visual media because the quality of news day by day is coming down. When it comes to the print media, somehow it is reaching general public. As an academician, in fact, I have told you about judicial activism, bureaucratic activism, media's activism, NGOs activism. There is another important activism called academic activism. Academic means institution as a whole, teacher, student, alumni, they can do wonderful job. Because when you do small research, in fact, as a law teacher, I always been writing my articles in a regional language, in especially newspaper like Prajavani and Vijay Karnataka. Why? I deliberately write some of the important articles in the field of law, because I should provide all this information to my citizen, especially general public, in their own vernacular language. If they read it, then they will have an information. Why? Because information is like a currency. Whatever I'm discussing now, my quality of freedom of speech and expression depends upon quality of information. See, if you have a currency, you will spend. If you have a food grains, you will prepare food. If you have a petrol, you will drive. Similarly, if you have an information, you will speak, you will participate, you will question the unreasonable actions of the government. But my sincere view, all should be educated. It should not be, it is not only be educated. As in, once if you get education in the sense, you should try your level best to disseminate all this information to the general public, whatever the field. Economics plays a significant role. I always tell, finance matters. See, for example, when I was delivering a lecture on Child Rights Act, there actually Government of India should, if you could watch Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha TV, there they were telling to implement particular legislation, they need at least 3,000 crore. But if they allocate only 200, 300 crores, it is very difficult. That's why, see, enacting series of legislation, preparing series of goals, preparing series of plans and programs without concentrating for implementation, I think no use. I always tell, we have a maximum loss with minimum implementation. In my opinion, there is no difference between a state with law without implementation and state without law. There is no difference between these two nomenclature. State without law and state with law without implementation. Better not to have laws, better not to have any goals, better not to have any policies, programs when there is no scope for implementation. And all time, we always blame government, we always blame officers. But at the same time, if there is a I think you might have heard about cooperative federalism. Cooperative federalism is like cooperation between local self-government, state government, and central government. Now we require cooperative perspective between government and people. That's what Swachhata Abhiyan. All time government cannot, through local self-government, they cannot clean unless you change your mindset. We being educated, what we do usually when we have a house in the nearby vacant site, if we have we throw all the garbage where in the vacant site. Being a graduated and being a highly educated, but when we don't change our mindset and all, you cannot expect everything from the government, everything from the bureaucrats, everything from the officers and all. So keeping all this in mind, of course, India has been trying its level best to implement all the goals laid down in UNO 2012. Of course, that can be seen. That's what I was just seeing where I was remembering preamble, where preamble says about we the people of India having solemn resolved to constitute India into sovereign, social, secular, democratic republic. See, these 5 words are enough, which were reflected in this UNO goals. Again, it says every citizen has right to secure liberty, integrity, fraternity, justice, governance. And one more thing, governance, when it comes to the matter of governance, transparency, accountability, openness, participation. They are the 4 important elements to maintain good governance. Unfortunately, we people are not participating in the democratic setup. I was telling in the 2007 when I was appointed, I used to tell democracy is in danger. Then I changed my statement because democracy is in ICU, intensive care unit. Then again I changed, democracy is in coma. Now who has to come forward to come out with all these things? People should come. It is pertinent to remember one of the important statements made by Lord Montesquieu in his book, The Spirit of Law. He says, democracy works when people are intelligent. Otherwise, it is worse than tyranny. Of course, we are not in a democratic setup, literally speaking, when we do not come forward to participate in the process. People are not coming forward. People are not questioning. Why? Because, as I told you, because of information, lack of information. So, first and foremost thing is to ensure good governance. Finance plays an important role. Second one, dissemination of this information to the general public. Many downtrodden, vulnerable sections, they do not know what are the policies, plans, program introduced by the government. It is our duty that is, as an academician, as a students of any discipline, we should come forward to help our people. Once if we help, once if we economically, socially, educationally, politically empowered our people, then definitely, no doubt, India will be empowered. So keeping that in mind, of course, India is the best country when it comes to the matter of enacting series of legislation to give an effect to the international treaty, covenant, agreement. The best example, I tell you, there is an article called 253. Don't feel bad. As a law teacher, I'm mentioning so many articles and cases where 253 speaks about if Parliament has power to implement, enact law to implement the international treaty, agreement, covenant. Of course, there are series of guidelines, there are series of UNO goals, protocols, agreement, and international conventions. Keeping this in mind, under 253, Parliament of India has enacted series of legislation, but thing is implementation. Again and again, I keep on telling, implementation matters, implementation matters. Manufacturing series of legislation without implementing without implementing in true spirit, I think the very object is going to be defeated. In order to uphold the democratic and constitutional goals and values, one should implement. Government should come forward to implement. If they don't implement, you people should come forward to question the actions of the government. So in that respect, RTA is the mother of all express and implied basic fundamental human rights. And one more thing, in my last, I think I have taken much of time. So in my conclusion, I say we all should come forward to take measure to protect, promote, preserve the very important environment, mother environment. See, mother environment will endure our glaring violation, glaring pollution. How long? One fine day, you have to be witnessed for earthquake, you have to be witnessed for tsunami, you have to be witnessed for coronavirus, like that. So my sincere appeal, we have to give. That's why in Agenda 21, where in the Stockholm Declaration, which was held in 1972, where they clearly stated about the concept of sustainable development. Sustainable development means environment and development have to go hand in hand. When there is a balance, then everything will be all right. If there is an imbalance, then you have to be witnessed for tragedy, and all will become victim of mother environment. So I really appreciate the effort, intellectual effort taken by the Kempe Gowda Institute of Management and Studies and Research. I thank all the management and Shinkarlinga Gowda sir and the principal and faculty members and all participants for giving me an opportunity to express my views on sustainable development goals and its implication and implementation. Thank you one and all.
Thank you for enlightening us with your wonderful words, sir. Now it is our privilege that today with us we have Shinkarlinga Gowda, retired IAS, Administrative Officer of Rajya Vakkaligara Sangha. His academic qualification is PG in English Literature from Mysore University. He has started his government service from 1976 and has served in various departments as an eminent officer and retired as a Principal Secretary to Government of Karnataka in 2013. He has many certifications to his credit in different fields. As our guest for the conference, I request you to speak a few words and guide us with your experiences. Over to you, sir.
Friends, am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
I hope. Yeah, okay. All right. Professor Venugopal, it's a pleasure listening and seeing only you in the video. It's a long time since we met. And the panelists from all over India, the participants from all over India. Friends, it's a fine morning. We have this seminar being organized by our Kempe Gowda Institute of Management, covering a very broad subject. And Dr. Mahesh has taken so much of pain to prepare for this seminar. The panel or the subjects that have been covered in the UN are all encompassing, I should say. When I say sustainability is an all encompassing word. It encompasses many aspects of life, many aspects of the global concerns. Primarily, the resources that are depleting all over the world, the manpower development that is happening, the skill development that should take place to tackle the the challenge that we are going to face in the coming days. Of course, the environment is going to be the key in the days to come. How do we balance between the environment and the development will be the key. This should be the main aspect of our seminar today. We should be talking about what do we leave for the posterity. Are we going to consume everything that we have today, or we are going to leave something for our children and grandchildren? This is of greater concern to everybody. The advanced countries are consuming mindlessly. We would like to do the same. The developing countries would like to do the same. But at what cost? Are we doing it in a balanced manner is the key. We in India should be talking about the challenges that we have in this sustainable development. We have adequate food production. 295 million tons is the food production that we have in this country. We are the largest producers of fruits and vegetables in the world. But do all the people get the food that is necessary, the calories that is necessary for the day? Do every child get the fruit and vegetable that we grow? We waste 30% of our fruits and vegetables. Can something be done on this? Should we concentrate on only production? Should we not concentrate on processing and preserving and distribution, quality, grading? These are some of the issues which we have to concentrate on when we speak about the sustainability. There is no point in producing when we cannot retain them, when we cannot process them, when we cannot distribute them. Production alone doesn't speak about the quality of a country. Quality of life, when we speak of quality of life with such a large population, we have a huge population. 135 crore is a huge population. Can this land sustain such a huge population? No. We must be very clear about this. This land cannot sustain such a huge population. This population has to stabilize and come down over a period of time. For our grandchildren and others to survive, we have to stabilize this. What should we do? We have to raise the education level of the women. Women fertility used to be 5 in the beginning of this century, and in the closer to the middle of the century, it used to be 5 per woman. Now it has come down to 2.5. It should be 1.5. We should be replacing the population. We should not be adding to the population. And if we add to the population, we will be putting strain on the land. We have to grow more food. We have to provide more housing. We have to give schools to the children. We have to provide everything. And to do that, we will be putting strain on the land, water, which are limited. The space, etc., they are very limited. So this is where the word sustainability, are we in a sustainable environment, is the key. That is why I would like to repeat the same thing. What we should concentrate on, we increase educational institutions, we increase universities, we would like to increase. Our politicians have one mindset, and that is to add to things that are there. How do we manage? Are they sustainable? Do they survive? Is not their concern at all. They would like to add, like we are adding population. We would like to add. Addition is a kind of preoccupation with the Indians. We keep on adding, but we would like to sustain what we have added. We should sustain. We must increase the per capita of the people. The purchasing power of the people have to be increased. How do you distribute that? We are supposed to be the third largest economy in terms of PPP. In the purchase power parity, we are supposed to be third largest economy. I'd like to give you a few figures. The US economy, they say, is about 20 trillion. Right. The GDP is about 20 trillion. 21, they say, 20 trillion. And China, in terms of absolute terms, it's about 13 trillion. And in terms of purchase power parity, they say it's closer to US. And after that, Indian economy comes the third. Though we have only 2.5 trillion, the GDP is only 2.5 trillion, we come to close to 9.5 trillion in terms of purchase power parity. So probably in 10 years from now, in absolute terms also, we will be the third largest economy in the world. And how do we distribute it? See, if this 130 crore population becomes 150 crore, 160 crore, when will it stabilize? The quality of education that we provide, quality of houses we provide, quality of food we provide, quality of shelters we provide, quality of, many things, electricity for that matter. I'll just give you, I used to be the chairman of the Electricity Regulatory Commission, and our consumption in India is only 3 units per day per person. And in some states like Bihar, it is one unit. You understand when I say units. It is 3 units per day per person in India. Universally, it should be around 6. We are not even 50% of what we should be consuming. The use of electricity brings down the drudgery, brings down the manual labor that we do, and many things. And therefore, use of electricity is an indicator of quality of life. So in order to improve the quality of life, we must provide more electricity. As Professor Venugopal said, we generate very high solar power. But where? We produce power in the solar intensive, where the radiation is very high. What happens to states like Assam, the northeastern states which do not have any solar power? So they have to depend on coal-fired thermal power plants, which spoil the environment, and then the carbon footprints will be there. The carbon footprints that we are leaving now, we are the second largest in the world, in the developing world, after China. And we would like to consume more. But that is not sustainable. In the days to come, we have to reduce that. And in order to do that, we have to improve the technology that is available in India. See, it's only the technology that matters ultimately. In this corona, world now, people are speaking about vaccines. Vaccine research is not happening in India. We would produce vaccines. The Serum Institute in Pune has a very high production capacity. But if someone invents a vaccine, we would like to produce it. But we would not do any kind of basic research. Why are we not doing it? That's because we don't produce the right quality of students. The primary science, pure science, is not concentrated on. We would like to produce workers for somebody. We produce engineers in a large scale. And do what? We will be coding for someone else. Nobody does the work for this country. We should be doing quality work, even if it is small, for this country. And that kind of students have to be produced by the institutions. Since all of you are academicians, I would like to implore upon you to, concentrate on the research-based activity, and also promote students who are capable of doing contribution to this research, IP. The intellectual property, intellectual potential that we have should be developed. We speak of the knowledge that we had in the past. Probably we lost that knowledge. Not that we were ignorant. We were all very brilliant people in the past. but we are not so in the present. We are unable to compete with some of small countries. Britain has only 5 crore population, and Karnataka has 6 crore population. And we are depending on the vaccine from Oxford University because we are unable to match the standards of some of the institutions that are there. They are purely concentrating on research. Friends, since you are all academicians, I request you all to think about the overall implication of this in the longer run. You are producing students who are going to be the citizens of this country for the next 30 years and 40 years. Having said that, since the land, space, and all that limited things are there, I would like to speak to you about the seminar today. The seminar has to concentrate on the sustainability, and we must draw some lessons. We should be able to draw some lessons from this, make some recommendation, and let these recommendations go to the government, as the earlier speaker said. Let the government be aware of what is happening.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and I thank you all.
It was a pleasure to listen to your enlightening speech on system.
I thank you all. I thank you all, and I wish the seminar a robust participation. I want a robust participation in this seminar. All the best.
Thank you, sir. It was a pleasure to listen to your enlightening speech on sustainable development, sir. Now, I would request Dr. Mahesh, Principal KIMSA, to render vote of thanks.
Thank you, madam. I, Dr. Mahesh, the principal of KIMSA College, take opportunity in this conference that is 2 days national e-conference organized in collaboration with the IQAC of the Kempegowda Institute of Management Studies and Research and College Association to propose vote of thanks. In the next stages of the conference, several research scholars and academicians are presenting number of research papers, and the wonderful program was inaugurated by Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. K.R. Venugopal, who have expressed the intention of conference and values to all of us. On behalf of the college, I thank Dr. R.K. Venugopal, sir. I thank Dr. Satish Gowda, who introduced the purpose of the conference and who has taken today's Bengaluru University NSS unit to the heights. And I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Sri M.K. Shankarlinga Gowda, Administrative Officer of one of the most prestigious social services organization, Rajya Okkaligar Sangha, who have presided over this conference and increased the dignity of the program. And I would like to sincerely thank the research students, faculty who have already attended the seminar and are eager to present the thesis. I would like to thank the organized committee of the program, the technical team, and all the staff of the college who have been continuously tidying up the program for several days, hoping that this program will enhance the intellectual capacity of all us. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.
Thank you, sir. Sir, on behalf of all, I thank you for giving us motivation and cooperation for organizing this conference. Thank you, sir. I would like to conclude my speech by encouraging the participants to participate with an increasing number in all the discussions through the digital platforms for the next 2 days. Moving right along, we will start our technical session with a distinguished resource person, that is Dr. Shalini Rajanesh, who is currently Additional Chief Secretary, Department of Planning, Government of Karnataka. It is now my pleasure to introduce our resource person, Dr. Shalini Rajanesh, joined the Indian Administrative Service IS in the year 1989 as woman topper at the age of 22 years. She is a gold medalist in BA and MA Psychology from Punjab University. After joining service, she completed PhD in Rural Development from Bangalore University and MBA from La Trobe University, Australia. Considering her achievements and contributions to women empowerment, public administration, and also our passion for implementing the government schemes effectively for the welfare of women, the Karnataka State Women's University honored her with Doctorate of Literature in 2013. She has presented many papers at national and international forums, written 13 books, 8 in English and 5 in Kannada, covering subjects like management, personality development, women empowerment, IAS coaching, smart city, etc. She regularly writes articles and gives lectures, interviews in TV, radio, seminars, etc. to connect people at large. She also has worked in many capacities in Government of India, in the Ministries of Finance, Civil Aviation, Shipping, Agriculture and Road Transport. As Principal Secretary to Government, Department of Personal and Administrative Reforms, she steered a revolutionary legislation, that is Karnataka's Guarantee of Service to Citizens Act 2011, popularly known as Sakala. This Sakala project has been awarded Prime Minister's Award, Google Innovation Award, National E-Conference Award for Outstanding Performance in the Citizen-Centric Service Delivery in 2013-14, and Quality Circle of India National Award in 2014, Commonwealth Public Administration and Management Award in 2014. As Principal Secretary, Health and Family Welfare Department, she played a proactive role in formulating state health policy and amendment of KPME Act 2007. She also spearheaded the planning and implementation of universal health coverage, the first in the country. As Principal Secretary, Primary and Secondary Education Department, she drafted changes in policy to make learning more qualitative, joyful, interesting, and rewarding. At present, she is holding charge of Additional Chief Secretary, Planning Department, Government of Karnataka. Now, I would request Dr. Shalini ma'am to give knowledge on generalization of Sustainable Development Goals. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning to all.
Good morning, ma'am.
Thank you very much. And let me first congratulate all of you for initiating this very important subject webinar. And I would be presenting the couple of issues which would immediately, click with the academicians who I believe are today's audience of the webinar and participants. So I'm sure all of us are aware of what SDGs are. United Nations in 2016 brought about 17 SDGs, which actually connect to each one of us in one sphere or the other. And all of us have to ensure that by 2030, we achieve these goals, which have been set up as an agenda for the global level. All 143 countries, everybody, every person is involved in this. The whole planet is involved in this. And as you go through these goals, that there should be no poverty, there should be zero hunger, everybody should have good health. At these COVID times, nothing but goal 3, is the supreme most thing in everybody's mind, or everybody wants good health and nothing else. So like that, we have quality education, which again relates to the academic circles in a large manner. Then you have gender equality, which means that we have a lot to fill up the gap, we all know, in various spheres. Goal 6 talks about clean water and sanitation. Again, it is related to health. Then we have goal number 7, which talks about affordable and clean energy. Goal number 8 talks about decent work and economic growth. All of us are again feeling the pinch in COVID times that decent work is difficult to get today, and economic growth has got a huge setback. So how can we all, contribute to make up for this loss and show our grit, intelligence, and our resolution in these testing times particularly. Goal number 9 talks about industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Goal 10 talks about reduced inequalities. Goal number 11 talks about sustainable cities and communities, and smart city concept comes into this goal. Goal number 12 is responsible consumption and preservation and production. This is where each citizen is involved in whichever capacity. We have natural resources, but how best we are able to sustain them by responsible usage. Goal 13 talks of climate action. Goal 14 talks about life below water. 15 talks about life on land. 16 talks about peace, justice, and strong institutions. And finally, goal number 17 talks about partnerships. What we are doing today is, again, a partnership. It can be at the national level, it can be at the international level. Only when we join hands together can we achieve such a huge target that has been set before us, which is so desirable for all of us. When we talk of the pillars of sustainability, we find that economy, people, of course, to begin with, then the environment and the culture, they all have to play a role in a very cohesive and integrated manner. What does the government do to ensure that the sustainable development happens for the nation and the society as a whole? The first is the policy and the legal and governance framework, which obviously is the mandate of the government, but you would realize that it's only 2% of the population which is actually part of governance or government, and the rest 98% is actually governed. So how best the policies of the government are accepted and implemented by the rest of the 98% is a challenge, which can become an opportunity if the goals are shared, the intentions are common, and we move together in a joint kind of a collaborative approach. The second is very important, particularly in today's webinar context: promote innovation in technology and various practices that we all follow. Without innovation, I am very sure that despite our best efforts, 2030, which is 10 years away, still we may not be able to achieve our goals because the goal set is very, very high and the gap is huge. But that is not a cause for despair or pessimism. It is certainly a cause for looking for opportunities, looking for a better innovative strategy so that we are able to achieve these goals. The third is promoting traditional or cultural practices, which is basically done by the people at large. So they continue to, it's inertia. So they continue to do what they've been doing for ages, unless there is an agent of change brought in and they realize the importance of that change. Facilitating awareness, capacity building, education on sustainable. This is again a very, very important role which government has to play as a catalyst, because government is repository of all this information, all this work that has happened, whether at national or international level. But unless it is shared with common man in the language that they understand, it is of no use. It will remain in papers and files and maybe websites. It has to reach out to the common man or woman in the way they understand and they feel that they should be part of it and they should contribute towards it. That is the ultimate success of the governance as a whole and the strategy as a whole. Department of Planning is a counterpart of Niti Aayog at the national level. So at the state level, the planning department pushes and monitors these goals. And we have set up 17 different goal committees with experts, and they are the ones who create a framework. They align it with the national framework in the form of state indicator framework, and then try to say what are the action points and strategies. Based on all that we do, the Niti Aayog every year evaluates how we perform. So it is called SDG India Index. It is available on the website. Karnataka in last year was ranking number 3. Next year, it has gone down to actually number 6 in the rank, but actually the scores have gone up. The reason is that many other states have also got bracketed with us. So if you look at bracketing, yes, we are still in the third bracket, but with more number of states joining in, we are at sixth number, which means that we have to really pull up our socks and do more than what we are doing as of now and achieve the goals in that desired direction. Some of the challenges that we faced is that we have a budget gap, particularly in the COVID times. Now, for every action, every strategy, there is an amount required. Let us say, even if an information, education, communication campaign has to be held, there is a budget required. If a scheme for incentivizing innovation is required, you need money. You want to educate people, you want to reduce the literacy gap, you need money. But with the COVID times, it is difficult even to pay salaries at this moment. So the revenues are going down. But this is before the COVID times itself. 6,000 crore is the gap in terms of the desired budget, which should lead us to 2030 goals achievement. So how do we then, fill up this resource gap? So one of the innovative campaign that in Government of Karnataka has started with the help of the UNDP is to set up a CSR platform wherein we are trying to actively involve the companies to contribute in different ways under the CSR and see that we are able to generate more funds. Some other challenges, and which I feel are more important than money, is that we need stakeholder involvement from all aspects, right from the poorest of the poor to the richest of the rich, and to the young, the grown-ups, the women, the youth, everybody, elderly. So here we need to have civil society participation, which can then actually close our gap on the funding side. Because when people start contributing, their contribution in kind is much more than the cash that the inflow, in the budgetary form goes into the program. One of the solutions that the planning department has done is to involve the civil society through the community radio network. And this is where I request all the colleges, all the universities, government or private run, to set up more and more of community radios so that you can reach out to the public at large and tell them, look, this is how you can play a role and not only improve quality of your life, but even improve the quality of life of the entire nation. The second very important stakeholder contribution we are looking at is the non-government organizations, the NGOs. We have got 5,200 NGOs who have been registered on NITI Aayog's Darpan portal. We have the details available district-wise, taluk-wise, sector-wise, where they're involved. So if they are able to generate awareness, they're able to empower the people and show them the way, again, we can have greater involvement of these people. So this is how we are trying to involve the community radio network. Now, these are some 5 goals which I would like to draw the attention of our audience today, is where the SDG India Index shows little less performance. We are in the aspirational category, means we need to do better in these categories. So no poverty or zero hunger, gender equality, industry innovation and infrastructure, and sustainable cities and communities. So I would be very happy if today's participants can contribute ideas or projects or innovations which can help us achieve these goals at a faster pace. We have these innovative issues related to, let us say, agriculture and food security related thing. In the COVID times, we noticed that since the exports and even the movement of vehicles was restricted, so the agriculture produce or horticulture produce could not be exported or marketed well. So we have now tried to come up with a platform where like commodity exchanges, like stock exchanges, we can ensure that the farmer is able to market through the digital platform. And even if he or she is growing maize or grapes or whatever, papaya, because the shelf life of certain products are very, very small, and therefore either they have to be processed or they have to be marketed well. So this is one area where we need to look at innovation. Coming to academic institutions, innovation areas in particular, which is normally measured under India Innovation Index. And I'm very happy to mention that Karnataka ranked #1 last year in India Innovation Index. And we have to again work very hard to ensure that we maintain this position of ours. In that, where is it that we can improve? So one is, many of our educational institutions are still not having a NAAC grade A. So many are not even registered, accredited with NAAC. Others who are accredited are not getting grade A. So unless we get grade A, and you know how you get grade A, you have to have more of research papers, you have to have more of PhDs, again, you have to have R&D and innovations. The second is to improve or increase expenditure on science, technology, and environment. One of the important ways we can do that is, apart from the state budget, we can have projects sanctioned through various external aid agencies. The other day, JICA, that is Japanese International Cooperation Fund, is available. Or the other day, we find the Science and Technology Department of Government of India. They go on asking for many research projects to be funded. Even in the COVID times, lot of research projects have been encouraged by Government of India. So we can get more funds by proposing good projects for research. Then industrial designs, and finally, number of grassroots innovations. In this, I would like to mention that there is a scheme called Aspire Awards by Government of India, Department of Science and Technology, wherein school children, if they come up with any innovative idea, they get 10,000 rupees directly in their bank account for that innovative idea. And that doesn't stop there. This innovative idea is further developed by entrepreneurs and startups. And finally, it can actually lead to a commercially viable idea. It can lead to a commercial patenting also. And the amount goes up to 25,000 when you reach that level. And the research institutions like Indian Institute of Science, IIM Bangalore, or other major institutions, they are able to help us do the incubation of this. Then we have from the Science and Technology Department, incubation centers who help us incubate such innovative ideas and make them commercially applicable in the field so that they can actually be used by people in a productive manner. So I have already mentioned this. Skilling is one thing where I would suggest that we have the new education policy now in our domain. How are we going to make each and every student vocationally, empowered? They should have skills, not just degrees. And to do that, we have a skill department, and we have online skilling facilities. We have got projects under UNDP also. We've got projects under skill development department also. Lots of online skilling, not just for the literate, even for the semi-literate, even for the illiterate. The digital platform is, because you can't get together and have classes as used to be done earlier. Now we are using again digital platforms to do it. But I feel that according to the aptitude of every student, we must encourage more and more skilling, hands-on kind of an experience, so that the youth are more confident in going into the job market. With this, I close my presentation, and I'll be very happy to take questions. I can see some of the hands being raised. So I would request the coordinator to take up one by one. Over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we will start with the question and answer sessions. If you have any questions, kindly share your questions in the chat box only. Ma'am, there are a few questions.
Yes.
Ma'am, the first question goes like this. What are the challenges in achieving sustainable development, and how can they be overcome?
Since I took for the paucity of time, I took a couple of challenges. See, one is we must understand that the resources on this planet are limited. Be it water, be it the resources of forests, or be it the environment, the air, fresh air and all that. The biggest challenge that we have is, are we consuming it responsibly? Are we preserving it? Are we improving upon it? The carbon footprints, as we say, are we reducing our carbon footprints and so on? Are we ensuring that these resources, clean water, clean air, good number of trees, forest cover, will it sustain beyond my life? For my children, will it sustain? And for this, it's not just government which is responsible. It is each one of us who is responsible. Suppose we go on mindlessly cutting trees for whatever purpose, it can be firewood or whatever. Will that be a sustainable development? So this is where each one of us needs to think about and see how best I can preserve my natural resources. This is where I feel the citizens at large need to contribute. Other things are that, suppose growth of cities. Now here I'm talking about governance. Now Bangalore, for example, everybody knows Bangalore is growing huge every day, big surge, more vehicles, more traffic, more population, more apartments, more pollution. So is it sustainable? So when we look at sustainable growth, the challenge can be changed into an opportunity if we are able to improve upon the urban growth by way of, let us say, satellite towns. Singapore does it, many other, even NCT Delhi, you have satellite towns coming in. So you have Noida coming up, you have Gurgaon coming up, taking away the burden of the capital city. So this is where governance matters. This is also an opportunity for the PPP partners. Now we have, for example, Bangalore Airport. Can we look at, the Bangalore Airport developing into an airport city? And that takes away huge, pressure on the city. People stay in and around the airport and get into the activities where airport is more critical. Like that, several challenges on resources, several challenges on limitations on growth can be handled by way of these strategies. Yeah. 3 participants have raised hand. How to create general awareness on sustainable development in rural areas? So, okay, let me read out the 3 questions and answer them. How is SDP better than MDG?
SDG.
It is MDG. Yeah. And we need skilling with reskilling. Yes. In the 3rd question, Gitanjali is saying that, ma'am, in this Corona time, we are able to get all facilities related to education and also in many fields to bring sustainable development. Are we ready with proper funds to fulfill our plans? Right. So I will answer the first question about general awareness. And then I'll talk about the MDG, SDG also. See, earlier, MDGs were Millennium Development Goals. So before this 2015, we had Millennium Development Goals where, again, something similar was done, where we wanted the whole of the globe to develop on basic things. What was missing in Millennium Development Goals was that we were not talking about global partnerships. We were not talking about funding, budgeting. We were also not talking about the interrelationship of goals. Now, when you look at these 17 goals, you have one goal relating to 5 departments or more. So it's not that, environment is the responsibility of only one department. Food department, urban development, rural development, transport, all those departments have to contribute to achieve that one goal. So interdependence of various departments, programs, funds, schemes to achieve one goal. So trying to work together, synergies, developing synergies. That is the beautiful, difference between MDG and SDG. Otherwise, similarity is that, yes, we have got 15 years for this, as well as like MDG. We have a time frame, we have a goal, we have indicators. Environment, again, and a planet sustainability is much more emphasized in SDG as compared to MDG. So these are various differences. Awareness building, as I said already, that we've started these community radio programs, or using the NGOs, or using the academic people, because youth can be a very big agent of change. Similarly, women SHGs, they're an organized. So many organized groups are very big agents of change, and we try to train them, sensitize them. Similarly, elected representatives. Sorry, for example, in COVID times, we had this the booth committees, and we try to involve them. Let me take some more questions. How to create general awareness? I've already taken. Okay. All right. So funds, I have already mentioned. Gitanjali has raised this, that we are short of funds. I mentioned to you. So we have to come out with innovations. How do we use our intelligence in such a way that with less money, we are able to do better, show better results? One example I would give is, I'm sure many of you would have heard of waste management. Nivedita is her name, is a startup. So she came out with a machine where all the garbage can be, just put in. It will segregate itself. Then dry waste will go separate, and wet waste will go into manuring. Dry waste will go into other products being created, like something like plywood and other things. So this is one startup. Like that, the ITBT department has a huge campus here with the help of NASSCOM, and about 10,000 startups are, there's a provision for them. There's a space. People with ideas can come back to them. They will even give you seed money to try out your ideas. So this is one way where we can fill up this gap for fund scarcity. I would request the organizers to take more questions. I can't see any more on the screen.
How can sustainable development goals be integrated in education?
Okay, so Dr. Nagaraju has raised this issue, that how to integrate SDGs with education. It's a very good point. We have, in fact, we start with the education department itself. If our children are educated, and just imagine in next 10 years, it's a new generation that is going to come up. So if from class 1 to class 10, my children today, from today onwards, are sensitized to sustainable development goals, they will come up with a new generation which understands what is responsible consumption, what is the role of citizens in SDGs, how can they have a better planet, a better earth, a better country, better society, in all aspects, how they can develop the values of caring, sharing, etc. And that is why what we have done, that along with the Child Right Trust and the Education Department, we created a very good material, reading material kind of thing, like a library, comic type of thing, where a lot of pictures are there, where children try to understand how to share and care, for example. So if you say you have to remove poverty or remove hunger, so we have a picture where rich and poor children, they try to share with each other. The rich children are sharing with the poor children. So this is one way of bringing out that balance in society. Okay, I have another question. Yeah.
Ma'am, there is one more question from the panelist, ma'am.
Yes.
What are the opportunities held from the government for research regarding food security?
See, that is what I mentioned. This startup fund that is available with the ITBT, you can come out with ideas where food security can be ensured. I will give you one example of sustainability on the afforestation side, which I came across that concept. This is a seed womb project by a woman entrepreneur. She's a scientist in Raichur. She came out with a technology wherein seeds are coated with the growing material, and even if you just throw them, it's different from seed balls. So even if you just throw them in a barren land, they will germinate because the nutrition required for them is provided for. So this project has now been taken up by the for funding by Bio Innovation Fund, which has been recently created with the help of NABARD, and this is being done. So similarly, food processing, food security can be ensured if we process. Now, you know that 40,000 metric tons of food is going waste every year because it is perishable, it is not processed, it is not marketed in time. So I'm sure there's a huge opportunity that is available to do the processing of the food, a primary processing, not with very expensive machinery and all that. For example, in Shimoga, we had huge produce of pineapple, and this pineapple used to go to Delhi mainly for juice shops, and suddenly there was no demand. Now there is a technology available with the CFTRI. Let us say for pineapple slice. So they are all sun dried. So you just slice them and dry them in the sun on a polythene in a clean, sanitized way, and maybe you coat a little bit of sugar powder on it and you preserve it, and you can ensure that lot of nutritional deficiencies, particularly in corona times, we say vitamin C is very important. So this is one natural way of getting vitamin C. So like that, there are huge opportunities to process. We are really rich in our production, but we are very poor in our processing.
Ma'am, can we take some more questions, ma'am?
Sure.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, there is one more question from the panelist. Sustainability is live and let to live. Atmanirbhar Bharat is for self-sufficiency. Are not these two are contradictory to each other?
Atmanirbhar talks about self-reliance, right? Live and let live doesn't say you should not be self-reliant. It talks of interdependence, yes, but self-reliance. Nobody can be self-reliant to the extent that you are not dependent on anybody else. We are all living in an interdependent world. It's not contradictory. I would say it is complementary. But at the same time, particularly during COVID times, we realized that something which used to come from, let us say, Kerala or Delhi, today we are not getting. So what do? You won't die without it. So you have to create an alternative, right? Similarly, things which were going out and we could not send them out. So what do? We preserve them. We preserve them and later on find opportunities. We had record amount of export of our mangoes from Karnataka during COVID times, which was not even happening during the earlier times. Now, Atmanirbhar scheme and the package that is there, it basically, talks of this kind of disaster situations which may occur later also. How do we make the best use of our opportunities, our strengths, and create a better value addition? That is what it is talking about. So in Atmanirbhar relief package, there are a lot of projects which can come up, and the bankers have been asked to fund those projects apart from the government subsidies or incentives. I think we have not yet started utilizing Atmanirbhar project programs, and from planning department, UNDP cell, we are working on a big way to see that we reach out to the potential users of Atmanirbhar. We codify the Atmanirbhar project guidelines. It is available on the web portal. Atmanirbhar details, a very beautiful portal has been created by the Government of India. You can see that which area do you fit in. There is an area for everybody, for farmer, for youth, for education, for SHGs. Everybody has something or the other, but you have to make use of it. And for that, we understand that some sort of support mechanism is required, and we would certainly like to assist whosoever comes forward, and we also want to provoke them. So using all these mediums, we would like to go for facilitating more and more utilization of Atmanirbhar funds.
Ma'am, one more question, ma'am. What is the role of digital media in sustainable development?
Very huge, very huge. And more so in today's times, when we talk of social distancing, we can't come together. It's the most needed and most useful platform. As I mentioned earlier also, that, you know, these women, for example, we have one of the largest number of self-help groups in Karnataka. But if you look at their, value addition, they are just, most of them are just limited to thrift and credit. That means they will collect from some their group members and then give it on credit. That's it. But they're not adding value to it. So what do we do? Now we look at the resources which are available in their vicinity, and we are trying to use technologies which are developed by, let us say, CFTRI in food processing for that matter. And we have developed a platform now for the SHG groups that on your mobile, you can access technology for doing food processing. It can be, your medicine, your red chili thing, or it can be anything which is available locally. So digital media, similarly, Dr. Gopal is asking, how do we make use of it in education? So we are looking at online education programs. Now, our teachers are not very comfortable with, or not very equipped for online classes. So we have developed some networks with other online education curricula producers, so that they can give it both for primary, secondary education, even for higher education. They can develop. They're the best of the world types, international level minds are available. So they produce on the new education policy also. We need to create curricula again through the digital medium. It is very much possible. The advantage, another very big advantage of digital medium is that you can immediately replicate it for huge numbers. Suppose I'm doing it 1-to-1, so I can probably reach 200 people. But once I put it in the digital media, the sky is the limit, right? So it can reach millions and millions in one go. So it is worth investing into these educative tools, awareness tools, using the digital platform. And that's what my UNDP cell is doing about it. Yeah, anything else?
One more question, ma'am. It is from Dr. Sukumar Paul, faculty from Vishwa Bharati from West Bengal, ma'am. What is SDG vision in disaster hit areas? How to bring back residency in the Amphan, Aila areas in Sundarbans? The whole area is now saline prone. What will be the steps and process to revive back the quality of life in the areas?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, that every state, they create their own sustainable development goals, considering the local challenges. Now, the challenge which is there in West Bengal or Sundarbans is not the challenge in Karnataka. So I'm sure your SDG cell in West Bengal would have created strategies and goals on how to handle this saline areas. However, we do have some saline areas in Karnataka also, and there are technologies available. There are technologies available for desalination. There are also technologies available for growing certain species which grow very well in a saline area, right? There are technologies for reclamation also. So I feel that that's what we mean by localization of SDGs. So while the main goal is common for everybody in the world, the strategies, the local action plans will be very, very specific to the local issues, the local area and the challenges and the constraints and issues like that. Well, as far as disaster management is concerned, again, it's common to all. Today, while we were facing the pandemic disaster, we also had the floods disaster. So there are some schemes in our, for example, in our action plan, that we should do these linking of rivers. So we're working on that. How do we divert the water which is going, waste into the Arabian Sea, for example, and then bring it to the water-starved districts? So there is a proposal available for that. They're all very expensive issues, but then sustainability, because ultimately you have to look at sustainability. How long will you go on transporting water in tankers? You have to create sustainability. another more cost-effective way of conserving water would be water conservation. So you conserve the rainwater, not just rainwater. The latest technology available is now to conserve the gray water. That means the water that I use in my kitchen or in for my bath is being recycled by using a filter, and I put it in my underground storage well, and then that gets filtered and then gets recycled. So there are, and 80%, I mean, I'm surprised myself that 80% of the water that we use and we throw it away as a waste, as a drain off, can be actually got back. So where the districts which do not have their own source of water can actually go for this gray water recharge, and Karnataka has come out with gray water recharge policy, and both the urban development and the rural development departments are following that. Yes.
Ma'am, with your permission, can we take few more questions, ma'am?
Please go ahead.
Ma'am, one more question from Dr. B. Gopal Singh. How does planning department go with NEP?
New education policy.
Ma'am.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier also, that you see the new education policy talks about two important things from my perspective. One is that, you know, the curricula has to be more application oriented. So as I mentioned already, we made a first step by saying that we should, make these children aware about these sustainable development goals and go more into details of that. What is it that is required from them as a responsible citizen in different areas as they grow? This is one part. Second is on the digital technology or the skilling part of it, I would say. We are trying to have a setup wherein we use the infrastructure of the schools by collaborating with the skill development agencies, wherein, say, in the afternoon sessions or holidays, the infrastructure can be used for skilling of the local youth. So even ICT labs can come up with a collaborative approach in those schools which do not have computers, for example, and that can then be a trigger for many more skilling programs, because in rural areas you don't have it. We partnered with Celco, which again is a very good, is a pioneer in using solar energy for various social activities. So we have solar powered educational tools. We have solar powered equipments for the hospitals or PHCs, and we have it for even for the vendors. You would have seen that solar powered, there is a light, there's a fan, there is a cutting machine. So even the vendors who are having their livelihoods can add value by using these kind of tools and technologies. So similarly, we have partnered with the University of Agriculture, University of Veterinary Sciences, and they have come up with a lot of IEC material, videos, YouTube channels, which can be then further disseminated using our Jila Panchayat, Gram Panchayat, and so many other institutions of the government, SHGs, youth clubs, and so on. So they can be made use of for equipping the children as well as the dropped out youth. As far as HR practices and skilling, yes, we have a planning board and we have a lot of experts on board, and we keep giving inputs to different departments. Equipping the HR part is very, very important, particularly on the digital technology is very important. So we try to collaborate with all departments, whether it is animal husbandry or it's higher education or any other department. And we try to see where are their gaps, what they can do themselves, very happy. What they cannot do, we try to see that we try to get them more partners to fill up those gaps. Yeah. Anything else?
Next question from Shrikant KS, ma'am. What are the role on carbon trading and carbon credit in order to maintain sustainability?
Carbon
trading and carbon credit, ma'am.
Yeah.
Climate bonds.
Yeah. You'd like to answer?
No.
Huh? No, you say. Mukund, who is my team leader from the UNDP, will answer that. Yeah.
Hi, good morning to everybody. With regards to
Good morning.
carbon footprint, which is again one of the sustainable goals, the UNDP is coming along with the Department of Planning, coming with climate bonds as well to get into it. And we are forming a mechanism of carbon credits to plow back for efficiency. I think it should be rolled out shortly under the chairmanship of the ACS. We will get back to you. We are working on this.
Any other question?
Yes, ma'am. And the next question goes, can we able to fix food produce prices by the government, wherein the middle and corporates just take the advantage of the market, procure at low price and sell at high price in the name of quality?
You see, it's a very expensive proposition to buy everything. However, Government of India as well as the state government has a system in place wherein they do market intervention. That means when globally the trade is showing trends wherein farmer is not getting the bare minimum price to take care of their expenses, the market intervention is done for those products, because you can't do it for 100%. It will run into crores, lakhs and lakhs of crores. It can't be done. So it's only a timely intervention that is provided. So sometimes maize is being procured, sometimes tomato is being procured. But these are all, what should I say, sporadic kind of, as needed, as and when needed kind of thing. But to look at sustainability, we have to ensure that the market forces work in such a way that they balance it out. So there is no exploitation of the poor farmer. So what do? We create a transparent system wherein trading, an actual open trading of the produce of farmers takes place, just as you have the stock exchanges, as I said, the share trading. So if the whole world knows that Israel is buying, let us say, tomato at 80 rupees a kg, why would they sell their tomato for 20 rupees a kg? Yeah? If they have that platform available. So what we are now trying to do is provide that platform to the farmer, educate them, in a very simple way, from the simple mobile that the farmer can use. He or she can get into the platform and know what are the prices, where are the prices, who are the buyers, and he or she can select. So empowering the community is a very big factor for sustainability. And this is where technology will go a long way.
Ma'am, can we take few more, ma'am?
Sure.
Next question goes like this, but panelist Mr. Shiv Kumar, as per the academic, agriculture sector is downtrodden by the learner scholar. It is a poor man profession utilized by the industries as one of the raw material available at low cost. Do you find there is a need for national pricing policy for agricultural products?
As I mentioned just now, that there is an agriculture pricing policy. There is a commission also. I was in Ministry of Agriculture in Delhi earlier. There is a pricing policy. There is a minimum price fixed also for various products. And as I said, the day it so happens that the prices are going down than the minimum price, then the commission fixes the prices and then the government starts intervening, they start procuring. So there is already a mechanism in place. But I understand that not many people know about it. So maybe people don't know about it. So there is need for better awareness to the farmers. Also, our farmers are not so much organized. So there is a need to organize the farmers. And one way of doing it is that, the same produce farmers, they should get, again, digitally connected, at least, if not physically connected, to have a say in these kind of policies or even in pricing mechanisms.
We'll wind up this session with one last question in Kannada, ma'am.
ಮಾಡಿ
ಸಮಕಾಲೀನ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಸ್ಥಿರ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿಯ ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತೆಯನ್ನು ಮಹಾತ್ಮ ಗಾಂಧೀಜಿಯವರ ಆಶಯಗಳ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆಯ ಆಧಾರದ ಮೇಲೆ ಯುವಜನತೆಗೆ ತಾವು ತಿಳಿಸಿ ಬಯಸುವ ಪ್ರಮುಖ ಅಂಶಗಳನ್ನು ಚರ್ಚಿಸಿ.
ತುಂಬಾ ಸಂತೋಷ ಆಯ್ತು. ಸುಸ್ಥಿರ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿಗಳಿಗಾಗಿ ನಿಜವಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಮಹಾತ್ಮ ಗಾಂಧೀಜಿಯವರನ್ನ ಜ್ಞಾಪಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಬಹಳ ವರ್ಷ ಹಿಂದೆನೆ ಅವರು ಈ ವಿಷಯವನ್ನ ನಮಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು. ಬಹಳ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು. ಹೇಗೆ ನಾವು ಸ್ವಾವಲಂಬಿ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು, ಹೇಗೆ ನಾವು ಸ್ವಚ್ಛತೆಯನ್ನ ಕಾಪಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಹೇಗೆ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಕೆಲಸದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಗೌರವವನ್ನ ಇಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ನಮ್ಮ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲರ ಕೆಲಸ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗೌರವವನ್ನ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು. ಹಾಗೇನೆ ನಾವು ಆತ್ಮನಿರ್ಭರ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಹಾಗೆ ನಾವು ಜನರ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಸೌಹಾರ್ದತೆ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಸಹಯೋಗ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ವಿಷಯಗಳು ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಯುನೈಟೆಡ್ ನೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಒಂದೇ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇಡೀ ಪ್ರಪಂಚನ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಮಹಾತ್ಮ ಗಾಂಧೀಜಿ ಅವರು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇದನ್ನ ವಿಷಯವನ್ನ ಬಹಳ ಹಿಂದೆನೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು. ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಈಗಾಗ್ಲೇ ಸಾಧಿಸಿದೀವಿ, ಆದ್ರೂ ಇನ್ನೂ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಧನೆ ಮಾಡಲು ಬಾಕಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋ ವಿಷಯ. ಅದರಿಂದ ತಿಳಿರುವಂತ ಬುದ್ಧಿವಂತ ನಾಗರಿಕರಾಗಿ ತಾವುಗಳು ಈ ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ಷೇತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಕೈ ಜೋಡಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಆಶಿಸುತ್ತೇನೆ. ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಸೇರಿ ಈ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಗುರಿಗಳನ್ನ ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡಿ, ಅದು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಆದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ಏನ್ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊರತೆ ಇದೆ, ಏನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ, ಹೇಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಸೇರಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಈ ಸೆಷನ್ ಮೂಲಕ ನಾನು ತಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರನ್ನ ಈ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕೆಲ್ಸಕ್ಕೆ ಕೈ ಜೋಡಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಆಹ್ವಾನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿಯೂ ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ತಮ್ಮ ಮೂಲಕ ನಮ್ಮ ಯುವ ಪೀಳಿಗೆಗೆ, ಯೂತ್ ಏನು ಕಾಲೇಜಸ್ಗೆ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಇನ್ನು ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಹೈಯರ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಬಹಳ ನಮ್ಮ ಓನ್ಲಿ 17%, 17% ಮಾತ್ರ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಕಾಲೇಜ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಹೈಯರ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಸ್ಫೂರ್ತಿ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಅವರನ್ನ ಮನವೊಲಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಅವರ ಆಸಕ್ತಿಗೆ ತಕ್ಕಂತೆ ಅವರು ವಿವಿಧ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳನ್ನ ಅಥವಾ ಸ್ಟಡೀಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಅವರು ಚೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಅವರಷ್ಟು ಅವರ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಅದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಸಮುದಾಯದ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಆಗತ್ತೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಆಗತ್ತೆ, ಹಾಗೂ ದೇಶದ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಆಗತ್ತೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಮ್ಮೆ ಈ ಸುಸ್ಥಿರ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಗುರಿಗಳು ನಮಗಾಗಿ ಇದೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗಾಗಿ ಇದೆ. ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಕೈ ಜೋಡಿಸಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದುಡಿಯೋಣ.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Any questions which is not answered, we'll try to get the answers from the madam and get back to you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I may like to express our sincere thanks to you, madam, for giving an excellent coverage on sustainable development. We are all inspired by your great words. We thank you for being with us and giving your precious time. Thank you, ma'am.
Now the technical session has come to an end, and we'll send a feedback link to your email ID and WhatsApp number after the valedictory. Now we shall have lunch break from 12:45 p.m. to 1:50 p.m. and we shall join you back exactly at 1:50 p.m. with panel discussion. Thank you.